Welcome to the Planet Amazon podcast with Adam Schafer, where we explore the world of Amazon and other e-commerce marketplaces. Join us as we delve into the latest strategies and tactics for successful selling on the world's largest online marketplace.
Hello, everybody. I'm Adam Schafer, and welcome to Planet Amazon, where we talk about all things Amazon and e-commerce. Today, we have a very special guest joining us, someone who has made a significant impact in the Amazon FBA community. We're thrilled to welcome Stephen Pope, the founder of My Amazon Guy. Stephen Pope is a visionary entrepreneur and the driving force behind My Amazon Guy, an Amazon agency renowned for its ability to get products seen and sold. They have a proven track record, and My Amazon Guy helps brands unlock their full sales potential by optimizing listings, managing PPC and SEO, and their catalogs. Steve is also the host of a very popular podcast that I listen to and a YouTube channel called My Amazon Guy, where he shares his wealth of knowledge and insights with a wide audience. Please join me in welcoming Stephen Pope to Planet Amazon. Welcome, Stephen.
Well, hello. Thanks for having me.
So how are you today? And thanks for joining. What is up?
Well, other than hot Atlanta weather over here, I'm having a good time getting my tan on. Just got back from the Bahamas with my 5 kids and ready to roll.
I'm glad you're back, and I'm glad you had no hurricanes. That's always a bummer. I had a friend that was on his way to Belize, and the night before he had to flip that trip and move it somewhere else because of the hurricane coming. So I'm glad you had a good holiday. So I've been following you for a while. I listened to your show when I was getting into the biz, and you taught me a lot, and you bring it on with attitude. So I really do enjoy listening to you. So you have a great personality.
Real talk.
Yeah, for sure. And so why don't we start with just telling us a little bit more about your background, because you've been doing this for a while, and how you got this My Amazon Guy thing going.
Well, I have been a reporter, I've been a marketer, I've been an educator, and today I highly focus on trying to drive behavior, right? So now I run an HR company called My Amazon Guy, this 548 person agency. And so it's been a journey of new skills. I learned how to build a brand on Amazon. I learned how to build an agency. I learned how to start a sales outbound process for the first time a couple of years ago. And so today, we gross more than $20 million as an agency. We help manage over $800 million on the Amazon platform. And what really gets me up every single day is that I just love leveling up life. And, I play video games, and just like life is a video game. And if you don't go to that next level, it doesn't feel right? Like every single day, it's got to be something smaller, bigger, better, even if it's an incremental gain. And my whole goal is to accelerate prosperity to everything around me.
Well, hallelujah. That sounds great. The video games, I stopped playing video games after Intellivision. I don't know if you remember that. I might be a little older than you, but it was like Atari, then Intellivision, and then I stopped. But you mentioned
old school.
And I'm an old man. Man.
Yeah, your business must be your video game or your 2 daughters. So
no, it's the daughters keep me going. Hey, so you mentioned branding on Amazon, and you learned that magic. But how important really is branding on Amazon, and how do you build a strong brand? I mean, everybody wants to have a great brand on Amazon, but how do you do it, man?
Well, I think one of my favorite questions to ask when I get asked this question, to turn it around on you for a second, what was the last item you bought on Amazon?
Oh, I'll show it. It's like a mini screwdriver set.
So screwdriver. What was the name of the brand?
I don't know.
Exactly. Amazon killed brands. And every time I've ever asked this question, nobody can answer what the item that they last bought. Now, we have a brand name there. You can't even see it when
hard
to read.
I couldn't pronounce it.
Yeah, it could be some Chinese brand for all we know, right? And the point is that to have a strong brand on Amazon doesn't necessarily mean people remember your brand. They might remember the experience, but they don't remember your brand. And so because of that, a lot of the things that you might have read in a business book over time or heard from somebody on stage talking about how important branding is, it's a totally different thing today. So I launched a soap brand on Amazon called Age of Sage. Now, this is after one of my kids. This is my daughter. She's 5. You can see the avatar is basically just like her. It's made after her. And so I was trying to figure out how to manufacture stuff in the States because I hated working in China. I visited China. I went to the Canton Fair. It was a miserable experience. The Chinese people are miserable over there. When I visited them, they made me feel miserable while I was there. I was like, why am I doing this to myself? So I was really trying to figure out how can I manufacture stuff in the States. And I'd already tried, to launch a hot sauce, and that was a failure because when I shipped it into Amazon, I paid Amazon to do the prep work. And this was before I was big and well known. This was, 8 years ago. And I was doing this out of my garage, and I shipped in 1,000 of these, and I paid Amazon to do the prep work. So they put the bubble wrap around it. They slap on the F and SKU, and then they shipped it out in padded envelopes. And I started getting text from my brother and my family and everybody that was buying it on launch day. And there was hot sauce shards everywhere. This is a 5-pound glass bottle. And so I've experienced a lot of, problems selling on Amazon. And I've asked myself the question, like, is Amazon dumb, right? Does Jeff Bezos not know how to set up a system? And clearly he does, because he wouldn't be the billionaire he wasn't today if that wasn't the case. Amazon Prime and logistics and all the FBA facilities, they speak for themselves. But when it comes to the selling experience as an Amazon seller, they don't give a shit about us. Like, they don't care at all. Like, they haven't done anything to help sellers. And so while I discovered this before I even started my agency, I started to have, panic attacks about what it was going to happen next. Is Amazon going to suspend my account? Am I going to have my listing yanked? And on Black Friday last year, Amazon took down all of my tumblers, all of them. No. Still have not.
They delisted you?
Delisted the entire subcategory, right? So parody tumblers does not exist on Amazon anymore. I wasn't the only one affected. I just happened to be the industry leader. So obviously it was like a giant middle finger to me, right? I lost $250,000 on that problem, right? And I want to be very clear. I think Amazon is worth doing, but the reason why I talk about these challenges is because it's not passive income. And I have found that when I start talking about these challenges, other people have also experienced them. And we need a little bit of business therapy to go around to deal with all of this. So I know that was a long answer to your branding question, but bottom line is, yes, I have a brand. I have Age of Sage, and I put it on the logo, and it looks cool. But nobody goes on Amazon and says, I want to buy Age of Sage. Now, 1,000 people a month do, to be clear, but that's not generating most of my income. Right? Most of my income is being generated off of non-brand keywords like artisan soap or soap for men. And those are the keywords that drive the business. And so because of that, when somebody's trying to debate whether I'm going to buy an Age of Sage product or Dr. Squatch or the 20 other lookalikes, they're making the decision based off not the brand, typically.
So outside of like Apple or DJI for drones or cameras, you get to all these other brands, and there's millions of 3P sellers out there selling on Amazon. Is the brand then the experience the customer gets when they buy your product with the hopes that they continue to buy it?
Maybe, because I think a lot of times you associate the experience to Amazon, and that's the brand, right? So like Amazon has usurped our direct correlation, our direct relationship with the consumer. And so your focal points as a business owner, as a brand owner on Amazon, have to align or shift with that understanding. So instead of trying to hyper focus on brand and all of that, instead you need to focus on optimization and how your main image looks, right? So I'm very outspoken about how you need to put as much stuff as you can in the main image as possible. Some people start throwing yellow flags immediately when I bring this up. They're like, terms of service, your listing is going to get suspended. I've never had a listing suspended for a main image. I've had an image suppression, which you can clear in about 5 to 10 minutes. But the things that I advocate for, which will increase your CTR. And if you want to know like my number one hack, the number one way to grow sales fastest on Amazon with the least amount of effort, without a question, it's the main image, right? If you add a keyword to the main image, you are going to increase your CTR, your click-through rate. If you increase your click-through rate, you're going to increase your traffic. If you increase your traffic, you're going to increase your sales. And by the way, CTR is also directly correlated to conversion rates, which throws people off usually. But if people are more likely to click on your product, they're more likely to buy it too. So adding a keyword to the main image, making sure that you showcase all of the ingredients. If you sell a supplement, show me the pills. If you have packaging or really nice packaged goods, make sure you show the package next to the item and the item itself. You don't want to just show one or the other. You got to show both. If you got an accessory, you got like a plug, if you're selling electronic, show the accessory. If you have 8 different color variations, you might want to put that in the side or the bottom of your image, like Zule Kitchen does, to showcase all of that as well. So there's a lot of things that I advocate for. Instead of branding, you need to go focus on metrics. CTR, traffic, conversion, without a doubt, those are your power 3 metrics.
Explain. I'm not sure I completely understand. Explain the keyword with the main image. What there's an actual text in that main image?
Yeah. So this is a very visual demonstration. So if you will humor me, we'll do a little demo live. So I just shared my screen. If you want to pull that up on. Zule Kitchen. This is a very well-known brand. We've got hundreds of thousands of reviews. If you look at 219,000 reviews, they have a bestseller. All of the things that we talked about are present in their main image. This is a very busy main image. So they have milk frother with stem as their keyword. They don't make it as front and center, as large as I typically advocate. This is probably the weakest thing in the main image, but they do everything else very, very well. So they've got the red bow, which makes it look giftable. That one's a little bit over the top. I'd say, if we're going to talk gray or black or whatever, that's getting closer to the dark gray. But you can still get away with it. And then showing all the variations and the colors, showcasing what you can do with it. So it's a milk frother. It makes this nice little coffee cup, and it shows even the spinning action. So what it does to the milk. It has every one of these elements. When somebody looks at this, they know exactly what they're getting. The fact that they have a little starburst here to show that it comes in 80 colors. They do all of that. So over on my website, I've got some good examples. So I'm going to showcase a few of these that do.
So Stephen, that was the main image?
That's the main image.
Okay.
Right. And so when you scroll here, that is a very powerful main image. So I'll go back to the search page, right? So if we were going to do, let's just type in the root keyword, milk frother, right? I don't even know if that's how you spell it. So when we scroll through here, you see 4 ads followed by Zule Kitchen showing up in organic slot number 1. Okay, so we see Milk Splash, we see coffee beans, we see the device in all of these competitor images. But Zule Kitchen has organic slots 1, 3, 4. That might even be there's number 2, unless that's like a close look. Like it's got to be theirs. Peachtree Store literally copied everything Zule Kitchen.
Right. I mean, what a ripoff! Holy cow!
Yeah, like literally to a T. There might be some copyright there. But if you look at like Bonsai Kitchen or whatever, all they show us is the item, and that's it, right? And so it's probably the same quality. It's probably made by the same Chinese manufacturer. But which one are you going to click on? You're going to click on Zule Kitchen over here on the left, or are you going to click on Bonzen Kitchen on the right? It's a no-brainer which one you're going to click on, right? This Zule Kitchen sells 20,000 of them. Bonzen sells 4,000, right? And the only thing that Bonzen can do to outcompete Zule Kitchen is win on price. And if you win on price today, you're going to lose on price tomorrow. There's just no question. But just to showcase like some of the easy keyword additions that you could do. So I've got some of these examples at myamazon.com/IMG if anybody wants to look at it. But the smudge sticks here, take a commodity item on the left. Now it's branded on the right. And we showcase the keyword with smudge sticks. Cooking baking sheets. This is my all-time favorite example.
So those are the keywords that you're saying. It's an image of keywords.
Well, I mean, yes. So this doesn't ship in that box. That box doesn't have that keyword on it. It's all Photoshop. Right. Consumers never complain about that, by the way.
No, I get it.
But like when we look at on the left here, we have a cooking baking sheet, right? But on the right here, we're now selling grandma's baking. And when you see this, you immediately smell chocolate chip cookies, from the kitchen that grandma made when you visited, right? Which of these two invokes a memory? Which of these two invokes your senses, your smell sense that you didn't even think about, right? So your eye triggers the nose. On the left, it's like, oh, it's another drawer of junk, right? On the right, it's, oh my gosh, I want some of those cookies. And so you can Photoshop on a little sticker here. It looks like it's on the product. By the way, once you do this and you prove it works on your product, what should you do? You should go to your manufacturer and add this to the item. But to prove the concepts, Photoshop is sufficient to get you off and running. And to any of the pedantic followers that are like TOS and the comments and the haters I'm going to get, my answer to you is this. If you just do what the customer is looking for, if you help customers, TOS won't matter. And people don't get in trouble for this. Amazon doesn't enforce it, and I'll prove it today if you're interested. But let me show one more example, and this is the Happy Me journal. And so on the left, we have a yellow journal. And if I asked you, Adam, why would you buy this item? And you only had the information on the left, you'd be like, because it's yellow, right? Now, the same question on the right, though. Why would you buy the journal on the right, Adam?
Well, I mean, I see the content, and I see this kids word really big, and I want to get stuff for my kids, and the age is huge. I mean, I'm always looking for age ranges for the things I buy my kids. So this is really well done. I love that you can see the output.
So this was one of my friends over in the UK that sells the Happy Me journal. I did this image for free for him, and it tripled his sales in 7 days. He didn't even have A+ content up. His secondary images weren't that great. I don't even know how much ads he was spending at the time. All we did was switch the main image from the left to the right here, and it made a 3x sales difference. So when we talk about click-through rate, it converts at major dividends. It pays out really, really big. So this is the future of branding on Amazon, and it's about click-through rate control. By the way, this is all trackable in your Search Query Performance Report. You can see what your CTR is on every individual keyword, and whatever keyword is showing at the top of your SQP, your brand analytics, that is most likely a good candidate to add to the main image product packaging. I'll show one more example. This time we'll go over to the bankrupt aggregator called Thrasio's original success story, and that is the Angry Orange.
Yes, Angry Orange.
Pet product. And so what we can see here is that they're doing everything we just talked about with the keyword. Odor Eliminator, smack dab on the packaging right here, gigantic. Can you even find the brand name? No. You can, but it's difficult. It's even 1/4 the size, 1/3 the size here at the very top there, and you can see Angry Orange when we zoom in. All Thrasio did when they bought this brand was two things. One, they watered down the product to make a higher margin, and two, they changed the packaging to make it with a giant keyword, and that 7x the sales in less than a year. So everybody is doing this. Everybody needs to know about how to improve their sales here. Now, if we type into Google household brand names, and we get a list of household brand names, usually when I do this search, I get like Clorox or whatever. So I'll do it off memory. But if we type in Colgate, for example, and we scroll down, we'll see a brown box right there, pack of 4. Right. By the way, that doesn't come with the brown box that says pack of 4 on it when you buy that Colgate.
It's in a bag, right?
Yeah. Another one of my favorite examples is HP Printer, right? So there's another household brand name, and theirs is a little bit more egregious. They don't do it on every single product, but when we get down to it, here we go. 6 months of ink included, and they just put it on the printed page, right? This doesn't come with a purple piece of paper that says 6 months of ink included.
Right. This is the product. Yep.
Yeah. So I'll pause there. I just think it's good.
That's amazing walkthrough, and thanks for that. And I do think that there's plenty of people out there going to say no. They said you just have to have the image, no words, no this, no that. And if you're doing it and it's working, man, that's great advice for everybody. So thank you for that. And
I guarantee
it's very compelling.
Yeah, anybody that's listening to this, if you go to the best sellers list in your subcategory, unless you're selling something that sells less than 20, the best seller's got less than $20,000 in monthly sales. They may not be adhering to the best practices we just advocated for. But anybody that's in a big category, you're going to see the bestseller doing these things. It's just going to happen.
And so you got to nail that main image. I got it. What about the other images? How important are they? Because you do see people that they don't have brand registry, they don't have A+ content, they have one or two images in the gallery. But I mean, what happens when you start doing it right and adding more? Does it really help or not?
It's a massive difference. Like if you look at the conversion rate before and after an optimized page, it can be anywhere from 2x to 5x improvements. Right now, Amazon by and large has made the default conversion rate on Amazon somewhere between 8 and 10%, right? Just for showing up. Now, when you optimize the listing, you can get it up to 15% or 20%, and that can make a very big difference. Now, a listing with 1 or 2 images is no way it's going to be an 8% conversion. It's probably going to be more like 3 or 4 percentage points, unless it's like a big box retail store product that's in every mall and every 13-year-old teenager is buying this lip gloss, for example. I've seen some really bad beauty product pages in my day. But those are typically driven by omni-channel. While somebody's at the store, they're buying it in the store because they can get it off Amazon for 50 cents cheaper or whatever. So I think that the secondary image stack, the A+ content, the brand story will pay major dividends. But if you can't get the main image right, start there first and spend 10 hours on the main image. Spend a couple hours on the secondary images. Maybe you need to get an infographic. Maybe you need to have somebody using your product looking directly at the camera with eye contact, right? Maybe there's things that you need to do and all kinds of ways or mechanisms you can improve the image stack, whether it's lifestyle images, infographics, informational text images, you comparing against your competitor product, why they should buy your product. Maybe you have a high return rate that you see in the customer comments. You need to sell into some objections in the secondary image stack. It's a great place to do that. Here's my framework, though. And I love to take all of the theory and boil everything down to a simple framework, because then it becomes so easy for you to advocate and teach the people around you and make sure your virtual assistants are following all the things you talk about. Text is for robots. Images is for people. And when you understand this, that means you can go run the runway with as much SEO keyword stuffing as you'd like in the text. Why? Because that's for robots. But the images, you need to be hyper focused on. You need to run A/B tests. You need to be understanding what the consumer is looking for. And you need to have everything built into those images to affect the consumer, to make them want to buy your product. Give them the banana for scale. Give me the emotional connection. If you sell a pet product and don't show me dogs, you're crazy, right? Like you're just crazy. If you sell a baby product and don't put babies in 80% of your image stack, you're bonkers crazy, because that is what drives consumers, right? If you don't have a customer avatar and nobody knows what you sell or who you are, that's a problem. People need to understand what you do, what you sell, and who you are. Customer avatars, image stacks, those are what drive consumers to understand what your product is, what it does, and if it's right for them.
You just mentioned the testing. Are you been doing, or have you been doing a lot of A/B testing or the PickFu stuff?
Yeah, tons of it. So we use a lot of PickFu and A/B testing on that. I think there's a lot of good abilities to understand how you're doing versus a competitor. So if you've never run an A/B test before, the very first easiest A/B test for you to run, just take your product and do it against your number one competitor. If you're not sure who your number one competitor is, put your product in against 6 of them and just see what consumers say, because it will prompt some interesting thoughts. And then my second favorite A/B test is to change one element of the main image and make an addition or a subtraction and run an A/B test like that to see kind of a meaningful difference. So that Happy Me journal that I showed you, that won 98-2. Of course.
So you actually A/B tested that one. You didn't just launch. Okay.
Yeah, because I wanted to show, I wanted to prove the case. I wanted to make sure that they actually used the main image when I built it for them. Because sometimes when you give gold to somebody that doesn't know what gold is, They're like, it's a shiny object. I'll put it in my copper pile, right? So you have to use an A/B test sometimes to persuade people. Sometimes even when you give data to somebody, it's still not persuasive. And that is like the epitome of the human mind, right? Like psychology 101. How do you persuade people? When I was in college, I was on the college debate circuit. I was on scholarship. I beat Harvard at a national tournament one time. But I'm here to tell you that, even though I could go AFNEG on any topic, you could pick any issue right now on Amazon. AFNEG, I'll argue the topic, no problem. Would love it. Would probably win that debate. But I'll tell you one other thing that's way more important. It didn't persuade anybody. Like the people that heard me debate, I didn't persuade a single person. So what's the freaking point of winning the debate, right? So I love using data to try and persuade people, but sometimes data is not enough. Sometimes you have to figure out what persuades the individual. And so there's a lot of psychology behind that. We could tie that into how you persuade somebody to click on your image. You could tie that into how to persuade your team to take behavioral action. But since I'm now a CEO of over 500 employees, me trying to figure out how to persuade people other than just cracking my whip or throwing money at the problem has been a lifelong mission that I've tried to overcome in the last 5 or 6 years.
Yeah, I mean, but if you show them that their sales are going, how could they not buy in, even if it's data, but it's money? So
I'm so scared Amazon's going to take down my listing. Oh, you can't do that.
Okay. I hear you.
Start going in, or I don't want to cheat the system, and if my product is so good, people will buy it despite the way the image looks. You'll hear all kinds of hubris, all kinds of pedantics. I've seen it all, man. Like the gauntlet that pops up.
Wow. So that I'm sold, man. I'm going to do it. So thank you. So changing the topic a little bit from awesome optimized content and the branding on the content or the products. How important and what's your approach to advertising and PPC and all this on Amazon, off Amazon? What are your thoughts on this? Pretty big topic, but.
So with advertising, I have a couple of frameworks that I like to use. Always be advertising. That's the easiest one, right? That's like a default one. Anybody that does ads is going to understand that comment very deeply. But I think the sub point of always be advertising is sometimes lost. Always advertise every single product. And some people are choosing not to advertise some products. Maybe they don't advertise every SKU. Maybe they don't advertise every color variation or whatever it might be. Or maybe they got a weak seller and the ads have a higher ACoS. But I have found time and time again that if, let's say I take on a new account and there's 1,000 SKUs, and today they only advertise 17 of them. The fastest way to grow that account would be to create an auto catch-all PPC campaign, put a 5-cent bid, and make a dedicated ad group to every single SKU. So 1,000 SKU, 1,000 ad groups, one campaign. And I'm here to tell you that can generate thousands of dollars at ridiculous 20-to-1 ROAS, sometimes 5% ACoS, just by having a catch-all 5-cent auto bid campaign. So I like to use that as an example of
that's a great example, Steve. I mean, we meet brands and they advertise 5 of 100 or 5 of 1,000, and it's because that's where 80% of my sales come from. But we did the catch-all, same thing. That is brilliant. So thanks for bringing that up. Keep on going.
So that's my main framework. My next one is never negate a good keyword. So you can hear all kinds of PPC experts, gurus. They all make this mistake. They're like, oh, you set up an auto campaign and then you promote it over to exact match. Well, the problem with that is that the auto campaign will more often than not, have a lower ACoS than an exact match campaign. So you by and large, by promoting a good keyword from auto and you negate it off auto and put it in exact for some reason, you are throwing away 5-10 percentage points of ACoS. And so people still today make that mistake. So I like to use the mantra, never negate a good keyword.
So leave it in the auto. Leave it in the auto.
Leave it in the auto. Never turn something off that is working under any condition. There's no reason to do that. It's okay to have the same keyword in multiple campaigns. It's okay to have 3 exact match campaigns with the same keyword. There's no cannibalization risks by having those multiple touch points at multiple different bids, Yeah. So if you want to get really sophisticated, just to go the most advanced strategy, you might have 3 campaigns or with different bidding strategies, or even you can do this at the ad group level too, technically. But let's say 3 campaigns, each of them had a different budget and each of them had a different bid. And maybe you want to have like the ability to never turn off ads, but you want to have a lower bid after a certain budget threshold. And so that would be a strategic reason why you don't want to have the same keyword in multiple campaigns. So never negate a good keyword, but on the other hand, run negations weekly. I'm still flabbergasted sometimes when I see other PPC campaign structures and they don't add negations to broad match or auto campaigns. And I'm like, I don't get it. Why are you wasting money? Like, I firmly believe that you should have 1 keyword target for every 2 negations. Now, to get to that, it sometimes takes like a year to get to that threshold. So if you're listening to this and you're advertising on 1,000 keywords, you only negated 57. Don't freak out. This is just an opportunity for you, right? Yeah. Like, let's say your ACoS today is 50% and you only have 37 negations. If you add another 1,000 negations, I bet you your ACoS will get down to 35% because you'll negate all the things that don't meet your threshold. Now, that might cripple your growth, let's be clear, but if that was important to you, if margin and getting the ACoS down was important to you, that would be the easiest way to do it, other than lowering bids, which could also help. So I believe that auto and broad match campaigns are super underrated. I personally, on my own accounts, put 80% of my sponsored product campaign budgets in auto and broad match campaigns. And every time I mention this, it usually throws people off. You're like, that's absurd. That's got to be a waste. I'm here to tell you I get better results on broad and auto than I do on exact. Now, exact are super important. Exact can be very crucial for SEO purposes. Exact can be very important for defensive purposes and even offensive in some cases. But broad match and auto campaigns just simply have a lower bid. So I want my dollar to go farther. So that's what I like.
Do you spend money on, you just mentioned defensive, do you spend money on your own brand?
Yeah, absolutely. You don't have to put a very high bid. Sometimes you can get away with, 30 or 40% of the bid of the other competitors, and you'll still win the rotation just because it's more topical, more relevant of a product compared to the competitors. But that's not going to grow your brand per se, but it's going to prevent your competitors from stealing some of your customers. And so it's a defensive play. Most people gain customers today through non-branded keywords. That's where most of your effort and time needs to be spent. But I'll even run defensive ASIN campaigns. So if we look at a detailed page, I counted them up one time. There were 997 ads, clickable ads on my own detail page. That's a lot of ads, right? Yeah. Like, too many damn ads, period, first of all. And second of all, like, on my own website, I only have 1 ad, my product. But on Amazon, there's rabbit holes everywhere, isn't there? And so sometimes it makes sense to advertise on your own detail page to prevent that. Or at least, even if they don't click on the defensive ads, they see your product plastered everywhere. It just reinforces how important your brand is, and they're making the right decision. So psychologically,
we had Epson, and they make a bunch of different products, but it's a popular name in the categories they play. And so they have a receipt printer, and they're like the #1 receipt printer, and it's like more of a B2B product. It's point of sale, but it's very popular. And I was trying to, first of all, they were just a mess because they had no Amazon strategy, but I was trying to show them, if you type in Epson receipt printer, there may be a page beyond the first page. Like, they're the brand. And there's brands you never heard of, like you mentioned before, all going to school on their brand. And it's because people are looking for Epson in that case, because it's kind of a standard in the industry. So I do think you need to do some defensive. So I'm glad you agree. It makes me feel a little bit better.
I do.
Cool. And what about the off Amazon stuff? Is that happening for you? You doing Google and all that and pushing it back to Amazon, or is that a waste?
This one's a lot harder to debate out, right? Because any traffic is good traffic, just from a framework standpoint. The problem that I typically find, though, is that sponsored products will have a better return on ad spend on the average category product by as much as 5 to 8 times better. So it makes it difficult to want to go off of Amazon to advertise. So I'd usually recommend this after a certain threshold, after you're a $2 million brand, after you see diminishing returns, because going from, let's say your ACoS today is 35% and you're thinking about Google ads. I'm telling you right now, there's no way Google ads is going to beat a 35% ACoS, especially since you can't track it, you can't optimize it. It's all a guessing game. So because of that, until your ACoS, is tapped out at 50%, let's say like 50% is like, oh my gosh, I can't go a percentage point over that. At that point, would I try Google ads? TikTok influencers and UGC content, totally different framework for that. Highly recommend it. When I started doing UGC on TikTok for Age of Sage, I tripled my brand searches on the Amazon platform. I got a lot of great engagement, pennies on the dollar for clicks and all that good stuff. I am a fan of running ads on as many platforms as possible if you have an omni-channel brand. But to be clear, Facebook, Google, and all of these different platforms right now, it's just incredibly difficult to optimize and to track results into Amazon. And there's obviously tools that do this, and some of them do them pretty well. It's just not as good of a return, and it's harder to track, harder to manage. So that's why I usually say you got to be at a certain threshold before you tap into external traffic strategies.
Tell us about this TikTok. So what were you doing with? Did you have influencers, or you just running advertising?
So I paid roughly about $150 a video. We'd get somebody to make a 60 to 300-second video. One time I had a barista shoot a Tumblr video inside a Starbucks with my Starbucks Yoda parody cup, which was incredible. I couldn't have paid somebody $1,000 to go out and do that if I tried, right? Like, just got lucky on the UGC selection. And so those videos will get thousands of plays on TikTok. And just incredible results, and it's very low cost. It's not going to work in every category, to be clear. If you're selling a B2B product, TikTok is definitely not going to help you. But we're seeing a lot of people that are, we're in this TikTok nation right now, where everybody's looking down at their phone and their products, and there's just some leverage to be had here. Anytime you have
do they click through TikTok to Amazon, or they have to do something else? They do.
Yeah,
it's not the TikTok store. They can go to Amazon.
So TikTok Shop is making a surge right now, and there's TikTok is trying to shut down traffic going to Amazon. They see themselves as competitors.
Yeah.
Amazon is so threatened by TikTok that they created their own Temu Lite program at Amazon. I don't even know what Amazon's calling it. I'm not going to use it because I don't want to shop from the Chinese directly and wait 2 weeks for an item, especially since it's subsidized by both the U.S. and the Chinese government. You can mail something from China to the United States in Oklahoma City cheaper than you could from Atlanta.
Don't get me going, man. I know.
Yeah. So the system is corrupt, and this is, you could say this about almost every new sector. You could even say this about electric cars. Subsidies are ruining the free market. So having said that, Amazon is paying attention to this. They're so scared of the Chinese, a la Temu and TikTok, that they turn their last enemy, Shopify, into their best friend. Right now, Shopify and Amazon are linked up. Facebook and Amazon are linked up. Pinterest and Amazon are linked up. So we're seeing a lot of changes in behavior. Your enemy of my enemy is my friend, I guess, or something like that. But having said that, if I was a brand looking for, the 2 or 3 action items to go chase today, I would defend main image to hell and back. And I would talk about, the customer avatar and getting all these elements right on Amazon. But let's assume for a moment that my Amazon page is perfect and my diminishing returns on sponsored brands, I've hit my threshold. And I've already hired consultants and I've hired agencies and I'm plateaued. At that point, I would say, go do TikTok Shop, go spend money on Google ads, go do these other crazy external traffic things, because you'll find some growth there. There's no question. New customers await you.
But make sure you're dialed on Amazon first. Make sure you got your stuff together there. Yeah.
The ROI is just so much better on Amazon, just significantly. But that's why I chose my name, my Amazon guy. Like, when I was in the laundry room with my wife talking about what we should call the company and whatever, and she's like, well, how do people normally introduce you? And I'm like, they never introduce me by Stephen Pope. They don't care who I am or what my name is. They just say, talk to my Amazon guy. he will help you on Amazon. And so that's how I made the company name. And I think that there's just a really big impact that Amazon is. It's half the economy, realistically. Amazon is the behemoth. It's the 800-pound gorilla. So if you're not on Amazon, you're irrelevant, first of all. Nike is even coming back to Amazon after a big beating. Like they shrunk the company because they left Amazon. Like that's how powerful Amazon is.
No, it's scary, scary. And I mean, in a way, although I don't like the foreign influence, I do like that there's some competition that Amazon needs to keep on their toes. So it's good in a way.
Yeah.
You know,
I mean,
so I might not like the outcome, but they got to be watching.
Yes, I think Amazon is a monopoly. I think competition at Amazon would be good for you, it'd be good for me, and it'd be good for the customer. But I'm just praying that it's not the Chinese. I just don't want it to be Temu or TikTok. I wish it was the Canadians in Shopify. That's not going to happen though. Yeah. Nobody has the infrastructure, the logistics.
I was going to say the Ukrainians, but okay, no, okay, I get it. So.
What do the Ukrainians do? Do they have a marketplace?
No, they're just at war, and I'd love to help them a little bit more.
Yeah.
So anything to help the country. So and they have great developers. So and they do great drones. Don't get me wrong; these guys are the drone magicians.
The only way you can take out Amazon is to build 400 FBA centers equivalent.
Ain't gonna happen. And Walmart's not doing it either. I mean, we
don't even get me started on Walmart. Like they bought Jet. And they couldn't integrate with their point of system. Like it just said, what is the stupidest acquisition of the last 10 years? I would say it's Jet.
But I mean, we try to do Walmart from time to time with certain products, and it's, you know, you put in a lot of effort and you just don't get the I'm sure people do well on it. It just doesn't work.
10 times the amount of effort for 1/10 the return. Right? The math just doesn't add up. And I'll let you in on the secret. Here's why. Walmart is not a marketplace. When I say that, people like get a little eyebrow raised sometimes, but like seriously, Walmart's not a marketplace. Why? Because they cheat. They put the retail products above your product. You'll never, ever hear about a native-born Walmart brand. But 95% of the brands that I work with, I have 400 brands that pay me every single month right now. Only 5% of them are omni-channel. 95% of them were started on Amazon. I've never met a Walmart native-born brand, and it will never happen.
No, that I believe. That's a great point. And so as we get towards the end here, tell me, I mean, I ask this of everybody, is it too late if you're not on Amazon already to get on Amazon?
Yeah, it's harder. But it's not too late. Like Amazon is the greatest wealth transfer in my lifetime. I am a multimillionaire because of Amazon. If I had the money that I had today and I could go back 10 years ago and invest it, I would dump it into Amazon, no question. Even today, though, we're seeing the ability to launch a new product and make millions of dollars. Right? It's very possible. Now, a lot of people do it the wrong way. There's probably thousands of sellers that are going to try and fail because the gold rush does not reward effort. It rewards results. Right? If you go out and buy a plot of land in them hills back in the gold rush day in California, you might have had a chance of success, but not a guaranteed one. So just like selling on Amazon, it's a legitimate business. You have to put in massive amounts of effort. Usually you need 3 things to run a business: finance, marketing, and operations. And you have to have an A in one of those 3 and at least a C or better in the other 2. And most often than not, the brands that I work with, they're usually really good at the manufacturing or operations piece and not so good at either finance or marketing. And so if that describes you, you'd be obviously a great candidate to work with a marketing agency like MAG. But if you don't have some success in at least one of those 3 categories, you're going to go out of business within the first 12 months. So yes, I think Amazon's worth doing today. I'm obviously biased to say that, but I firmly believe it. I don't think it's passive income. I want to set expectations, but there's no question Amazon, you see 50,000 new accounts opened up every single month. There's a reason. It still works.
Yeah, I mean, for us, it's kind of still a heavy lift to start somebody up where we kind of focus more on brands that have some run rate on Amazon, or they're selling to Amazon, they hate selling to Amazon, Amazon's destroying their brand and they're squeezing them for profit
Jeff
and blah, blah,
Bezos
blah.
is my best friend, and I love everything he does. Seller support is amazing. It never lets me down.
Yeah, well, when you're vendor central, there's some horrible nightmare stories they can tell you about every year when they have to go renegotiate.
Amazon always accepts my fee increases every year on Vendor Central, right? Like, which lie was your favorite?
Yeah, no, they're all good ones. So I get that, and I'm motivated by this conversation. I mean, really, you tell it the way it is, and I love to hear it that way, and I'm hoping everybody likes to hear it that way. So thank you for that. And any final words for the audience? Although I thought that last pitch was pretty good.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me on. If anybody wants to connect personally with me, I am very hyper active on social media. My two channels are YouTube and LinkedIn. If you leave me a comment or DM me, I will personally respond to you. I just really have a big passion for what I do, and I want to level up the whole Amazon community. That's why I do what I do. That's why I share all my trade secrets. I want to bring prosperity to the entire world. So, this is how I believe that's possible. So thanks for having me on.
Well, and Stephen, thanks for everything you're doing for the community. And by the way, we bought your SOPs about a year ago. So thank you for making that available. Good stuff.
SOPs on everything on Amazon. Agencies can buy them. Brands can buy them. We even have a SOPs on how to run an agency. So glad. Thank you.
Well, they were super helpful. And with that, thanks, and I'll see you soon.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you for watching another episode of the Planet Amazon podcast, where we talk all things Amazon. If you want to learn about how to accelerate your sales on Amazon, visit Phelps United's website at phelpsunited.com.